Hey, thanks for your patience while I was getting ready for tonight's stream, guys. It just had a technical difficulty, had to reboot the system, set it all back up. But it doesn't matter because we're here now and we're going to hop into talking about today, day what, 6 of the Brian Walsh murder trial in the murder of Anna Walsh. We continued testimony from the medical examiner's office. We had testimony from Anna's work associates. We had testimony from people who worked at different locations where Brian Walsh allegedly dropped pieces of Anna and other evidence. So much to go through, so little time. Let's get in. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend, and welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. On this channel, we like to cut through the fluff and the sensationalism of true crime and get right down into the nitty-gritty. I obviously need to slow down. I'm stumbling over my words. I'm just, I'm thrown off a little bit. But you know what will throw me on? A couple headlines.
True crime headlines.
Pow. All right, let's see if it's going to work. Guys. I've been having technical gremlins. Let's just check it out. Oh my goodness, it's working. Okay. This headline, Anna Kepner, family claims teen found dead under bed, not seen for 17 hours. This is a new little nugget of information for me. While we were talking about Judge Mullins on Friday, this came out from Fox 35 Orlando, Dateline Brevard County. In a family court hearing, Anna Kepner's stepmom said she didn't check on Anna the night before she was found dead. Anna Kepner, the Florida teen who mysteriously died aboard the Carnival cruise ship, died from asphyxiation or being deprived of oxygen, according to new court documents filed in an unrelated child custody case between Kepner's stepmom and her ex-husband. Kepner died on November 7th, we all know, while on board a family cruise on the Carnival Horizon. New court documents revealed in the custody dispute between Anna Kepner's stepmom and her ex-husband confirmed that the Titusville, Florida teenager died by asphyxiation, that her body was found underneath the cruise ship bed. This is stuff that we knew, right? That part we knew because we've had information from the ME's office. However, it continues. Court documents also reveal that Kepner's stepbrother is an apparent suspect. Yeah, we knew that too. The documents also revealed that Kepner's body was found under one of the beds in the same room that Kepner and siblings apparently shared aboard the Carnival Horizon cruise ship. That makes me wonder if they were sleeping in that room. She had been dead already. Ooh, the FBI, which is reportedly investigating, blah, 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 blah. Now, nearly 1 month after her death, Kepner's stepmother, Chantel Hudson Kepner, spoke in front of a judge during an unrelated family court hearing about what happened that night. Anna shared a cabin with 2 of her siblings, one of which is her stepbrother, who is reportedly being investigated. When asked if the 3 kids got along, Hudson responded, yes, the 3 of them were 3 amigos. They were best friends. Hudson Kepner said a travel advisor told them to get 2 separate rooms for all the step-siblings. The room where Anna died was directly across the hall from where Hudson Kepner and her husband, Anna's father, Chris, were staying. The sleeping arrangements included the grandparents having their own room, Hudson Kepner and Chris Kepner in a room, and the 2 youngest daughters and Anna staying in a separate room with her stepbrother and biological brother. Hudson Kepner said she does not think it was wrong for the step-siblings to stay together. Anna was not seen by her family for 17 hours on the cruise ship before she was found dead around 11 a.m. Friday in her cabin, according to Kepner's stepmom. The son 16 won't be allowed back into their home. With the teenagers across the hall, did you ever go in and check on them? Asked the attorney to Hudson Kepner. No, I had went to sleep, she answered. So, yeah, We're getting little bits and bites of information out of this case. We will keep on this case for sure. Okay, this one brought to us by Crime Cod, written by Kate Bird. Doctor sentenced to prison in Matthew Perry ketamine case. Dateline Los Angeles. A Santa Monica physician who illegally supplied ketamine to Matthew Perry was sentenced to 30 months in federal prison on December 3rd. Dr. Salvador Plasencia, 42, admitted to 4 counts of distributing ketamine in a plea agreement with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California. Perry, of course, was known as an actor for his portrayal of Chandler Bing on Friends. Judge Sherilyn Peace Garnett told Plasencia he exploited Mr. Perry's addiction for your own profit, underscoring the seriousness of the charges. I don't know if 30 months is long enough, guys. I mean, he was a drug dealer. Yeah, he was a doctor, but he was a drug dealer. He was supplying ketamine to an addict. So, yeah, you can read the rest there on crimecod.com. One more, and this one just hurt. Day after divorce hearing, Arkansas woman and 2 children found dead. Written for us by Jacob Charles on Crime Cod. Bonanza, Arkansas. Law enforcement in Sebastian County are working to piece together what happened inside a Bonanza home where, according to the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office, 3 people were found dead with gunshot wounds during a welfare check on the morning of December 3rd. The Sheriff's Office said in its media release that deputies and Bonanza police first tried knocking with no response and ultimately entered the residence on South First Avenue with help from 2 co-workers at the property. Inside, they discovered 40-year-old Charity Bialis and her 2 young children, all deceased. Family members speaking to 5 News identified the children as Charity's 6-year-old twins. According to court documents, Charity filed for divorce on March 5th, about 2 weeks after her husband, Dr. Randall Bialis, was arrested for allegedly strangling her in front of their children at the same Bonanza residence. You know what? Strangulation is a freaking telling precursor to murder, man. Records cited by 5 News show Randall was initially charged with aggravated assault. Let me guess, he pleaded down. 3rd-degree domestic battery and 2 counts of 3rd-degree endangering the welfare of a minor. The charges were later amended to just 3rd-degree battery, to which he pleaded guilty. Got a 1-year suspended sentence. Stuff kills me. You can read the rest on Crime Cod. This stuff kills me. Those are your headlines.
True crime headlines.
Oh, guys. We need to remember, we just need to remember that while there are bad things happening in the world, what Mr. Rogers taught us is absolutely true. Okay? I always go back to Mr. Rogers. I love Mr. Rogers. If you guys watch my quantum mixtape interview, my buddy brought that up. And Mr. Rogers said his mom said to him, whenever there was bad news, whenever he saw something on TV or some calamity happened, some crime happened, whatever, to look in the background for the helpers. There are always helpers. There are more good people than bad. It's really easy to get down on the world, man. It's so easy to get down on the world, but Mr. Rogers is correct. There are always helpers, and there are more good people than bad. Speaking of bad people, allegedly, I guess I should say, Brian Walsh was in court today continuing, I believe this is day 6 of his trial in the murder of his wife. It wouldn't be his Snuggly Berry Sweetie Pie, his one and only. Hello. Now his wife, 36-year-old or 39-year-old, now I can't remember, Anna Walsh, the Cohasset mother of 3 working in Washington, D.C., who came home to Cohasset for the holiday, Christmas and New Year's holiday, and then just mysteriously disappeared. Her husband, Brian, was later arrested and charged with her murder. Now, what is interesting about this case is this is a nobody case. This is a nobody case. And today continued the testimony of Dr. Atkinson, who is the ME in this case, which I find fascinating because there's no body. But his testimony continued. We're going to get a little bit of snippet of that today in our program today, and we're going to read a little bit more about about the trial. But before we do, I forgot to ask you guys. Put in the comments section where you are tuning in from. So I just love that. I just love that. And you know what? My chat is not showing. I got gremlins, man. I got gremlins. Even if try to put GF in your comments, I would appreciate that. But for some reason, they haven't highlighted so far. Okay. Scotch Mom. Okay, they are starting to highlight. Good. I just had to refresh the browser. Scotch Mom says day 6 and far to go. Kathy Lou says, Gavin, check out Revealing the Crime's newest short of Brian Walsh at Lowe's. Yeah, I'm going to show some of that video today. Tuning in from Modesto, California, Mesa, Arizona, Cactus League, Daytona Beach, New Jersey, Jacksonville, the Prairie State, New Mexico. Which one is the Prairie State? Hold on. Which one is the Prairie State? I'm going to say Kansas? Let's see. Which one is the Prairie State? It is Illinois. Illinois is the Prairie State. Land of Lincoln. Tallahassee is in the house. Jasper is in the house. Jasper, Arkansas. And we got Indiana, Calgary, Louisville, Ohio, Virginia, Niagara Falls, Canada, not too far from me, Central Illinois, Wyolis, South Australia, Orange County, CA. We do love the OC. Eastern Kentucky. We got Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, eh? Nice to have you here. Washington State, Northern Virginia. All over the place. Wollongong, Australia. I think you guys make up words, but thank you for being here. Cold Saskatchewan, Canada. St. Louis, Bradenton. So glad. Let's see. The Bean and I, Robin says that there's way more prairie in Kansas than Illinois. Who made that up? Right? That's right. Okay. Colorado. You guys are awesome. Kokomo. Thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. Okay. First thing that I want to show you guys is a news report from WCVB. Let me, I think it is this one right here. And bring up the right button. Here we go. All right. So this is the report from WCVB that shows some of the videos that were shown today. I just felt like we could kind of get to it if we watch this news report rather than going through the whole 8-hour live stream. So check this out.
This was a string of surveillance videos of Brian Walsh shopping at various locations. This was on the day after his wife was last seen and her presumed death. Take a look. This is video from the Lowe's store in Danvers on New Year's Day 2023. He's seen.
He just looks like he's shopping, man. He's just walking around, not a care in the world, laissez-faire.
Picking up several items that prosecutors allege he used to dismember his wife, Anna. At the self-checkout, the video shows items including a hacksaw as well as a hammer. Walsh is also buying several blue buckets.
Notice he's paying in cash. He thinks that that's gonna save him. Paying in cash.
A mop, rags, and cleaning fluid.
This video kills me. This video right here kills me. Look, he is in the parking lot of a liquor store. He's got a black bag, and he's just carrying
It's paying in cash. Prosecutors also showed video from that same day of a man allegedly Walsh at a Swampscott liquor store that he had frequented. He is seen taking a trash bag from his SUV and dropping it in a dumpster at the store, which was closed for the holiday. If you've been following the trial, police actually pulled several pieces of evidence from that trash pull in Swampscott. Also today, a state police crime scene forensic specialist testifying that some of the tools they found in the trash tested positive for blood. Live in Dedham, Sarah Con.
All right, so this video just kills me. Just so laissez-faire, right? And when he's in Lowe's, he's just shopping. He's just shopping. He's gonna buy that hacksaw right there. I'm so glad that most criminals are just stupid. Just so glad about that. But the video today absolutely just killed me. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, don't feed your gremlins water. That's true. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. Robin's from Minnesota. I see what you got there. Let's see. Wondering why Scram GPS hasn't been discussed in court about whereabouts. Wondering if he flushed her. Oh, dude. Wow. Yeah, I'm curious. Kim Pennell 1834 says, by now you'd think they know there's cameras everywhere. Yeah. Just nuts. And this is a great comment, Cassie. So we're supposed to believe that he suddenly found her dead and then casually went out shopping for tools to dismember and dispose of his beloved wife? Exactly. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to move us along here for a second. There's another video that I want to show you. This one is about 13 minutes long. And this is testimony. I believe his name is Dr. Richard Atkinson. He is from the medical examiner's office. Please keep your comments going. I will check the comments as we watch this one as well. So his testimony today was about an hour long, and it was at least that on Friday. So they've gone over a whole bunch. This is the end of his testimony when he's talking about unexplained deaths, right? Including sudden unexplained death syndrome, which to me is like the crux of it. I can't believe that Brian Walsh and his team have the chutzpah to claim that she just died. Anyway, here we go.
Once again, in these types of causes of sudden unexpected death, in each one that we just briefly described, in each one of the cases, the person who then experiences sudden death can be viewed in the moments, whether it be minutes or a few minutes or seconds. They can be viewed by someone observing them as still moving or at times even talking until death results. Correct?
Correct.
Then there are neurological causes for sudden unexpected death, correct?
Sure.
And they are arrhythmia linked. Am I right in saying that? They're linked to arrhythmias.
They can be.
And they're linked to hemorrhaging and stroke and things like that.
Sure.
And people can experience sudden unexpected death as a result of a neurological cause where they have, up to that point, not manifested any physical manifestation of illness, correct?
Correct.
Once again, moving on, there's pulmonary causes of sudden unexpected death, aren't there?
Yes.
And, for instance, massive pulmonary embolism is...
While he continues talking, I'm just going to turn this down a little bit because it's really not that important to me what he's asking, because to me this is the curtain. This is the curtain hiding the Wizard of Oz, right? This is like, who cares that there are a whole bunch of ways to die when your client did the choppy to his wife?
And just moving on to two more examples, and we talked about it. There are also Asphyxio causes of sudden and unexpected death, correct?
Correct.
Those
the doctor's just like, yeah.
asphyxio causes of sudden unexpected death, sometimes they're characterized as, they happen when someone is hanging or experiencing strangulation. Is that fair to say?
That is one cause of asphyxia, yes.
But asphyxia can be caused by a positional obstruction, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell the jury what a positional obstruction is in this context?
That would be something that either blocks your face so you can't breathe, or something that sometimes a car in a car accident will, or a better example, anything that if you have a heavy weight on your torso, sometimes that keeps you from being able to expand your lungs. This kind of death is called positional asphyxia.
I see. And is it the result of, as part of the mechanism for this is hypoxia results?
That's what happens, yes.
And the hypoxia, could you tell the jury what hypoxia is?
Hypoxia is just lack of oxygen.
And I'm not going to say it right, but I'll try. Vagal reflex pathway, a cause for sudden unexpected death?
Sure.
And
Sure.
that's also
There's lots of
related
causes
to a
for
form
sudden
of
unexpected
asphyxia
death.
or compression stress?
It can be.
It can be. And can you just tell the jury briefly what the mechanism for that is?
A vagal, that usually causes a cardiac dysrhythmia as well.
Okay. And can that occur when there is some pressure on the vagal nerve?
Yes.
And where is the vagal nerve?
The vagus nerve is in the neck and upper portion of the chest.
So if something is putting pressure on the neck of an individual, that could result in this vagal reflex pathway or vaginal reflex issue that could result in sudden unexpected death.
Sure.
And that sudden unexpected death in that situation can occur, once
This
again,
is
in someone
malarkey.
that simply has not manifested any physical problems to the observer.
Right. Until the pressure is put on their neck.
Okay.
Sure.
And Dr. Atkinson, you know Dr. Mindy Hull, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And she is presently the Chief Medical Examiner of the Office of Chief Medical Examiner?
Correct.
I didn't say that right, but and you're familiar with the fact that she has in fact presented to your colleagues at the Office of Chief Medical Examiner on causations involving and resulting in sudden unexpected death, aren't you?
Yes.
And so this topic of sudden unexpected death,
I agree, Cassie.
you can find it in the research and you can find it in the experience of trained and professional medical examiners like yourself.
Of course.
So just to conclude, we can all agree, isn't it, that sudden unexpected death is rare, correct? Maybe I'm overstating that. I'm sorry.
People die suddenly quite often, but depending on what parameters you're talking about, in a young person that has no medical history, yes, it's rare.
Okay. It's rare for someone without medical history. You see it more often in the forensic setting than, say, someone sees it in just a non-forensic setting. Is that fair to say? Because that's part of your job.
Yes.
And it occurs in individuals who otherwise have never manifested any medical problem.
It can.
Yeah, he's an assistant medical examiner.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you very much.
Any redirect?
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to pause it here for a second. That honestly, the whole conversation about sudden unexplained death or unexpected death syndrome, all it is to me is smoke and mirrors. They're just And that's his job. His job is to plant in the head of the jurors reasonable doubt. But I don't know that he accomplished anything here because, again, of the verbal eye rolls of the doctor. Yeah, sure, yeah, okay, yeah, it's possible that happens. It's just I don't think a jury's going to buy it. He was going around buying hacksaws. He was going around dumping bloody pieces of evidence, her blood, stuff like that. Come on.
Right ahead.
Okay, so here's a redirect. Yeah, I agree.
Doctor,
on this.
regarding the vagal reflex pathway and sudden unexpected deaths that result in that, how common is that in a healthy adult female with no medical history?
It depends on, definitely not common at all, but
And in this case that you were working on,
He's actually like, this is the most ridiculous conversation I've ever had. It's not common at all. Like, he even just kind of was like, this is ridiculous.
what evidence did you see of someone suffering from an injury to the vagal reflex pathway?
there was no evidence at all in this case
And
of any type of death,
okay,
or at least there was no body to autopsy.
Yeah, good point.
so that's kind of a follow-up question to that. There's no body to autopsy. What would you have looked at in the body if you were looking for, say, an issue with the vagal reflex?
Well,
That's right, Mooney.
something like a cardiac channelopathy can't be diagnosed at autopsy, but it's a diagnosis of exclusion that we only ever would put on a death certificate because it's so rare. If we did a full autopsy that excluded injuries, that excluded toxicology as a possible cause of death, that excluded all the far more likely causes of natural death, like pulmonary embolism or heart disease. So without doing an autopsy to exclude all those things, a sudden...
Julie Martino, and this is all due respect to all my friends, all my many, many friends who are medical examiners, which equals one who was a very good guy. It does take an odd kind of person to say, I'm going to do an autopsy a day for the rest of my life, right? But he gave good testimony.
Arrhythmia disorder is at the very bottom of the list of possibilities.
What would you have looked at in a case to determine if someone died of hypoxia? In an autopsy, what would you have looked at?
That totally depends on what's causing the hypoxia. If it's a hanging or a strangulation, you would look for injuries of the neck, a ligature furrow on the neck. Other types of hypoxia would have other types of findings.
What would you look at during an autopsy to diagnose a pulmonary embolism?
You can actually see the pulmonary embolism. It's a clot that usually comes from the leg veins and goes into the pulmonary arteries. And you can see that inside of the pulmonary arteries.
What would you look at during an autopsy to diagnose some neurological cause of death?
Other than sometimes seizures that have no findings at autopsy, you could see bleeding around the brainstem that is a subarachnoid hemorrhage from a burst aneurysm, for example.
And when you do an autopsy, how do you see the bleeding around the brainstem?
You can just see it with your eyes and take photographs of it.
You earlier described a cardiac tamponade. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. And again, that was bleeding into the pericardial sac.
Yes.
Would that be painful?
It can be painful.
Now, with this matter, What access did you have to determine a manner of death regarding this case, which was 23, forgive me, I want to make sure I get your number right. Regarding case 230493, what did the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner have access to determine a cause of death?
We did not determine a cause or manner of death
And why didn't you determine a cause or manner of death?
because we had no body to autopsy.
With these sudden unexpected deaths that were reviewed with you, does someone have to have a physical injury in order for these to come on?
No.
So these can occur without a physical injury.
Yes.
And when you've had access to autopsies to make these findings, have you ever seen a sudden unexpected death where there were no injuries?
Yes.
Moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I forgot to edit this out. It doesn't last very long.
Doctor, you reviewed when you have access to a body for an autopsy, what do you get access to as far as medical records?
We investigate where the person might have ever gone for medical care, sometimes from family members that will tell us, and we request records from all of those places. If we don't know that information, we sometimes send out a blind request to a lot of hospitals in the area.
And with some of these sudden unexpected deaths, do you also get access to statements of people who see the decedent right before they die?
Yes.
And so does that help you with the diagnosis?
Yes, it does.
And did you have any access to any statements regarding Miss Walsh before she died?
No.
With these sudden unexpected deaths that you were reviewed,
Talk about the weirdest, like, you're calling me in to testify and I did not have a body to examine, determine a manner or a cause of death. Why am I even here? That's kind of what those are the vibes I'm getting.
were reviewed through you. Pulmonary, neurological, and the rest. How common are they with a healthy adult female?
How old is this?
39 years old?
They're very uncommon.
And on the effect of travel, there was some discussion of the effect of travel. And how would travel affect someone as far as a sudden unexpected death?
Generally, that refers to travel being a risk factor for pulmonary emboli or deep venous thrombosis, DVTs of the leg, and it usually occurs in very long flights where the person doesn't get up and move their legs.
How common is it in a flight, say, that's 90 minutes?
Less common than a longer flight.
He's
Nothing
like,
further wrong.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, man. You're asking me questions about all this stuff, and yeah. Let's see. This is just Ducky. Do you find it odd that he didn't look up how to do the act, just what to do after? Well, I find it odd in comparison to what his story is, but in terms of couching it in terms of what I think actually happened, no, I think it's spot on what he would do. That's funny. That's funny. So yeah, I mean let's see. Robin says this poor man looks like he's woken up in a dystopian world. Barble Sun 8 wrong button. 8768 Gavin Robert Durst got away with killing and dismembering his roommate. Ooh, yeah. I think there are a lot of people that get away with this or did in the past. All right, Grassroots Monster, this Emmy's deadpan face is killing me. Yeah. Diamond Girl. That is like trying to do an autopsy with air. How did the air die? It's funny. This is just silly. And Patricia's saying, I can't believe the jury would be fooled. And I can't either. So like as this trial continues to go on, of course, this is all the prosecution's presentation. We haven't gotten into the defense yet. The defense's presentation. And but I do kind of get the feeling, well, based on your comments, based on me watching the trial, that the jurors are going to be like, dude, come on. I don't even, how about we do this? Let's go back. Let's definitely eat lunch. Let's wait for lunch so that we can get a meal out of this thing. And then let's just be done. That's what it feels like to me. Now, having said that, guys, having said that, I have told you before, I have served on a jury on a double homicide, and I could not believe it when I got into the jury room for deliberation. It felt like half the people in that room witnessed a completely different trial than I did. So you never know. A person is smart. People are stupid. So yeah. Phoenix Rising goes, they didn't have Google searches for Robert Durst. Mooney says, if the defense is going with this excuse, Brian will have to testify. Yeah, I think he's going to, for sure. Yeah, it's just, what an interesting case. Okay, so we will continue to watch it because it's going to keep going for another couple weeks. But don't worry, before we call it a night, we got 3 questions.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
You guys know the rules. 3 questions with Gavin Fish. Nothing is off the table. In fact, everything is on the table. Yeah, everything's on the table. Nothing's off the table. You can ask me anything you want. But what you got to do is send it to 3questions@gavinfish.com, 3questions@gavinfish.com. You could also go over to the old gavinfish.com website, and the best way to get yourself in touch with me is to click on this little envelope icon right there, and you could use this form. Maybe I need to add a 3 questions little drop down for the message type to filter it to the right folder in my inbox and all that stuff. But you could do that. But the best thing to do is email 3questions@gavinfish.com. It's spelled THREE, questions, plural, at gavinfish.com. Let's get into them, shall we? First question. Do I have a favorite Monty Python sketch? Well, I like Monty Python. I don't know that I have a favorite sketch, but I have a favorite bit from my favorite Monty Python movie, which of course is they're really, it's the Holy Grail. Monty Python, Holy Grail. What is that full title? I can't remember. Search for it. It doesn't matter. I like Monty Python, the Holy Grail. There are 2 bits in that get me every time. Okay. Now, and one of them is like super irreverent, and as a religious guy, as a kid, I felt conflicted about it, but it was so funny. So, and that bit is the whole holy hand grenade of Antioch bit. Once thou reachest 2, no, being the 3rd number be reached, then lobbest thou thy holy hand grenade of Antioch toward thy foe. I think it is so funny. I thought it was awesome. And I know that everybody says the Black Knight, right? But my other favorite bit in Holy Grail is the scene where, I can't remember which night it is. I can't remember, but it's, now I'm blanking on names. It doesn't matter. But there are guards guarding the tower where the prince is up in the tower, and they see off in the distance the knight running toward them, and it's like a drum roll, and he's running, and then it goes back to the guards, then back to the knight, and he hasn't moved, right? He's just running, he's still off in the distance, and it cuts back and forth, and every time it cuts back to the running knight, he hasn't moved. And it goes on for way, way too long. And then And then just out of nowhere, ha, he's there, and he stabs the guards and makes it. I love that bit. That is hilarious. Now, of course, Biggest Dickus in Life of Brian is a classic as well. But I didn't really watch the show. The Silly Walking is a classic, of course, right? But I didn't really watch the show. I'm maybe just a little too young for it, but I did get into the movies. They're pretty funny. Pretty funny stuff. I do like Python though. I just didn't experience it the way people that are slightly older than me did. Okay, question number 2. What are 3 to 5 things, it's very specific, you think people can do in their daily lives to help prevent the kinds of crimes you cover? Okay, I like this kind of question because it's asking for us to learn something. Anytime that we try to discuss these kinds of things, we run the risk of crossing the line over into victim blaming. But I want you guys to know that that is never my intent. My intent is always to learn. The first and most obvious thing, okay, is don't ever do drugs. Just don't do drugs. And I am proud as can be of all the people that fall. And it's so easy to say don't do drugs because an addict can get addicted because they were prescribed a drug by their doctor, or they just made one stupid mistake when they're like 15 years old, and then they become an addict. So it's very easy to say don't do drugs, but I'm telling you kids, Uncle Gavin here, okay? Don't do drugs. Just, that's number one. And I guess the next thing that I would say is, like unto it, don't do things that are high risk, that would put you in a position where you will be, where you could be a victim. Let me give you an example. Well, let me just, from my own life. I grew up in a fairly, a very loving and a very caring, I would not change a thing about it, but fairly, what's the word that I'm looking for? Well, fairly, we were actively religious home, and based on our religion, I just didn't do certain things. I didn't sneak out and go drinking. I didn't do. Now I did plenty of stupid things. I was telling my mom when I was back in California in October about just all the shenanigans I did when I was a teenager. And there were a couple that I was like, dude, I could have lost my life on those. Man, my parents wouldn't let me get my license unless I got my Eagle Scout first. And I freaking hated scouting. And so that meant I couldn't have my driver's license till I was 18 years old. But that did not mean that I couldn't drive. There were plenty of people that I knew that let me drive. And I may have had some other hidden transportation anyway. But one of the things that I didn't do is I just didn't go out. I've never gone out into places where there are high risk factors, heavy drinking, heavy drug use, that kind of stuff. So just avoid high risk situations, avoid drugs, man. Having said that, many victims avoid all of that stuff and they still become victims. One of the victims I'm thinking about happened here in Western Pennsylvania. She was 70 plus years old, and she would do a daily walk with her dog on a bike trail along the river, which should be perfectly safe. But there are no cameras along the river. It was known to be a place where people would camp. And there was a guy who watched her do it every day, and that led to her SA and murder. It wasn't her. She was doing stuff slightly high risk, right? Not thinking. But it wasn't her fault. It was the fault of the horrible dude that hit along that bike path that did that to her. So yeah, just think, one of the things that I think is very important for all of us is situational awareness. I joke that Like my dad used to talk about how my mom would go into a store. She would like walk into a store completely oblivious to the 67 other people behind her. And just when she'd walk into the door, she would stop walking and she'd look around and she would survey where she was and decide where she wanted to go. Not ever considering the people around her. And that's just, I mean, Kimberly's a little bit like that too. Just not aware of the situation where, you know, that you're surrounded by. Situational awareness is one of the things that is taught heavily in almost all the martial arts, right? The number one number one rule, at least of the martial art that we studied as a family, was avoid situations where you might have to fight. Be aware of what's going on and avoid those things. So yeah, like click up the situational awareness. And by doing so, you'll also be a better member of the community and neighbor, because you won't be like stopping everybody trying to get into Target or whatever. All right, last question. And then I'm going to get to a few of your comments. We're going to have time. As a reporter, have you ever been in a situation where you or your family were personally threatened because of a story? How do you walk the line between searching for the truth and protecting yourself? Yeah, it happens all the time. It happened recently when I covered, what's his name? So-and-so Investigates. Can't remember his name. He's a YouTuber, and he made a stupid mistake. RLJ? JLR. It was JLR Investigates. And yeah, because of what I said, because I really did not like what he did, for transparency's sake, for the rest of the people who want to cover the crime, I called him out on it, and that led to death threats. That led to threats against my children. I shared some of it with you guys, but definitely not all of it. So that happens. I also, I'm a reporter in a small community. I went to a county fair and was interviewing somebody on cows, the cows that they were showing, and I introduced him by name, and he was just very upset with me because I had been the one that had written up the criminal complaint. He was a guy that was a career petty criminal. So that happens in small places. What do I do to protect myself? Again, I'm very aware of my situation all the time. I use technology, and I think that responsible gun owners should be highly trained and highly practiced, and I am both of those things. So that's what I do. Thank you for the questions.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
Yow. Okay. Let's see if there are any other things that you want to check me out. That you want me to check out. Sorry. Oh, Julie Martino. Number 1. Stay single. That's funny. Yeah. Rebecca says that you like my long hairstyle. Well, soak it in, man, because it's going as soon as it can go. I think I'm going to have to go to April, because when I get my haircut finally, I want to be able to have my normal haircut. I don't want to have it buzzed all the way down. So that's what is going to happen. Julie also says, not sure you can truly prevent a psycho from harming you. Yeah, if somebody is willing to trade their life for yours, trade their life to take your life, it's very difficult to stop that. But I'm telling you, just the awareness of the people around you, of your neighbor, just be vigilant. I'm telling you, that is a big one. That is a big one. Yeah, Sunlime 48 says, never have a set routine. That's good. Yeah, and that's hard for, like, for example, kids who go to school and walk home, right? Gotta be aware of everything. Just Ducky says, a homeless camp popped up on my favorite walking trail, not walking there anymore. Sunlime says, I walk on a treadmill. Yeah. Julie says, I had a cop friend tell me never sit at a restaurant with your back to the door. Yeah, that is a thing that is hammered into us men when we are boys. Always sit, like, especially if you're with a loved one, always sit in a position where you can see what's coming. Never have, as the traditional protector of the clan, I'm telling you, I follow that advice. I always want to be able to see the room. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Don't double click your unlock button. Only unlock the driver's door to get in. That's very, very good. And Nancy says just about all crime is committed in relation to drugs and alcohol. That is the way it is. Seems to be. Guys, thanks so much for spending some time with me tonight. I'm very sorry about my gremlins that got me here about 10 minutes late, but I am glad that you hung out, especially those that hung out till the end. I want to thank everybody who has joined me over on the fish tank. 5,800 of my closest friends over there. If you're on Facebook and that's your thing, you are always invited to join us over on the fish tank. It's just a group where we talk about all things true crime, including the cases that we cover here. Remember, you can always reach out to me on gavinfish.com. And I hardly ever point it out, but if you scroll to the bottom, you can find that little my patrons. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patronage. I deeply appreciate it. You guys are awesome. With that, I bid you adieu, and I hope to see you again tomorrow, 6 p.m. right here on YouTube. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.